This is Larrabee State Park. It's kind of like out towards Bellingham. This is Brianna.
Who can hardly see.
Oh yeah, the sun's very blinding. It's a gorgeous spot. I was like raised essentially out here. This is why you live in the Pacific Northwest, right here. Good morning vlog, little life update. The other day I weighed 150 pounds. I have not weighed 150 pounds in a very long time. I don't know if I've ever weighed 150 pounds, but I feel amazing. I'm coming up on 30 years old, but I feel the strongest I've ever felt. And I think it is in part, I was always super consistent working out, but having Brianna, where she's just like so diligent, works out like twice a day, and has like big goals around fitness, it definitely pushes me to be more consistent, push harder. And so, yeah, I've never tracked my calories since college, so when I think probably when I was 14, I was tracking my calories on MyFitnessPal, and that was what, 15 years ago? That's crazy. That's 15 years ago. And so MyFitnessPal was not that great. So now we're using the macro factor. So it's very cool to just get back in that game. You start looking at food, you really start to get better and better at determining how many calories, what's your protein, what's your carbs, what's your fat. So that's a little life update. Also, this week is the first week of Copilot's new sprint. But I have personal sprints, so I have 6-week personal sprints, and I have 3-week Copilot sprints. So this is a cool sprint for Copilot. We are going to be having the beta version of our new mobile app out called Field Force. And so I've been seeing the designs the designers have been making, and this Thursday we have a design meeting. And then for me personally, yesterday I had a meeting with Dr. Kashi. He's my coach, and he also helps Alex Hormozy write his book. There's still a couple more months until release of that, so I've had limited contact, unfortunately, with Dr. Kashi. This one I requested because there was like a laundry list of things I wanted to get his opinion on, and so it's very small tweaks. But there's a project that I'm starting next. Not this sprint, but next sprint, that'll probably take me a year, and I want his input on like some of the framing of it. We got 3 more weeks though in my personal sprint, and most of it's around content stuff that I gotta build out. So we have a speaking gig next month, 7-figure club coming up the month after that, and so I've got to put a bunch of content together. I also have a 12-hour live stream coming up in 3 weeks, but we're gone for an entire week right before that on a turnaround show, so I've got to get that dialed in. And inside of that 12-hour live stream, I'm not just doing Q&A. I'm gonna do I think it's 10 lectures around different topics, most of which it's content in the books, I know it, but to have some structure around it is nice, if I'm gonna show some pictures and things like that. So 12 hours of content is no small feat. But what's cool is that 12-hour content can be cut into shorts. It can be put into the Home Service Millionaire secondary channel. So it'll be a very productive day.
I'm on week, I can tell you guys the exact day. 23 days into my cut. So far I have, okay, so here's the thing. The first 2.5 weeks, I started out with a certain amount of calories, because I kind of thought my maintenance was higher than it was. I dropped my calorie intake by 200 this last week, and I've seen so much more progress since then. So, sticking to it. If you guys are more interested in hearing about the nitty-gritty details of the cut, just let me know and I can share more. I just don't want to bore you guys if that's not the case. I have 1 or 2 reels to edit, and I need to finish planning for the turnaround. We have the site where everyone can apply, and once they apply, they put some of their information in, like obviously business name, their phone number, email, and address. So once I have their address, I can put it on a map, and I will give you guys a quick little glance at what it looks like. Isn't that so sick? We have another scheduling software called ClickUp. I use it for all the scheduling basically. So it just keeps things organized. We create a profile for each applicant with all their information in there. So then whenever we're planning a turnaround, I can look at this map and be like, okay, what would be an ideal location? Where are applicants clustered? So for example, we are going to Texas next weekend, and you can see there's a lot. Red are people that we have not visited yet. So check it out. Yeah, there's quite a few. And so when we saw this and we had all the applications put in here, it's like, okay, obviously Texas is where we should go next. So we reached out to these applicants, made sure it was still a go. Today I'm creating an itinerary And 2 days ago, I booked the flights, cars, hotels. Now it's just like a very detailed, like, okay, at this time we need to do this. We need to go to their job site at this time, etc., etc. Just so we know, like, you know, when to go to the airport, for example, so we don't miss our flights, because that would stink. But this trip is going to be so awesome. Probably one of the easiest we've ever done, just because it's all in one spot. Sometimes we'll have to like do a flight in between. Thankfully this time there are directs from Seattle into Austin and Houston. We're able to use the same rental car throughout the whole trip because this is within driving distance, so it is like such a blessing. But we're visiting 4 people, 2 in Austin, 1 in College Station, 1 in Beaumont. It's kind of like the ideal layout because the more people we have in a cluster, the easier the trip goes. Once you add layovers and more flights into everything, it just makes it more complicated because you have to deal with cancellations or delays, etc. Anyways, I'm gonna edit my reel and build this itinerary.
Okay, so usually I do these little updates in the morning on the way to the office. It's the afternoon, headed back home. Kind of exciting few updates. So tomorrow we have a bunch of momentum finally hitting Copilot. Today in the leadership meeting, I approved 4 new engineer hires. By the time we actually get them hired, onboarded, and rolling, that'll probably be realistically July or August, but then we still have a few more months before the busy season for software and in home services is like November, December. Really making a big push and like investing as much as we can into it. But we're just starting to get even like the team that we got on the beginning of the year, January, they're just like really hitting their stride. We have some cool updates. Like tomorrow, we're changing the way we do ACH processing fees. Very good. Making sure that everyone's compliant, but still allowing people to pass along the credit card processing fees to the end customer if they want to. Like our messaging is really important because in a way we're actually taking away the ability to charge ACH processing fees to customers. But on the other side, we're incentivizing the customers to use ACH, which is a lower cost processing fee to our members at Copilot. So it's a little bit confusing because we've got to be careful. Some people will potentially take this as like we're taking away a feature, but we need to because 8 states and more to come are requiring that you have a way to pay an invoice without any fees. Then on Friday, we are releasing a whole bunch of email templates, text templates, and automations for all of our members for free. So that'll be good. It also will help with attrition, or like with churn, it's called. So when customers join Copilot and they leave 30 days later, a lot of times it's like they never actually got set up correctly. They didn't get their texts, their emails, their automation set up. And if they did, we know they'd like it. That we know that they would be helpful for their business, but they just never get it set up. So we're really trying to dial that in. We're also trying to look at ChatGPT down the road and how we can really streamline the importing process of CSVs just using a script inside of ChatGPT, which would really help that as well. But Friday, we're rolling out a whole bunch of free bundles to all the members to improve the onboarding process and their adoption of Copilot. And then like early next week, we roll out a new intercom, which is basically just chat, but it's way better than we currently have, and it's trained on all of my content. So instead of just telling the person like, here's how to change this in your settings, it'll actually be like, hey, here's why this is important, whether it be deposits or a certain aspect of automations, and it'll actually give them feedback based on all of my content. So like we've trained it on my books and a bunch of my content. So that should be really helpful. And more importantly, they'll be able to track like any bug tickets that they've submitted to support. They'll actually be able to track them inside of their chat widget now. Because it's been really frustrating for members that like they submit a bug ticket and then they just get like a notification whenever it gets moved along in the process. But sometimes it can take us 3 or 4 weeks of scoping, trying to find the issue, really dialing that in before we actually move it along. So it can feel like they're not being heard. And even though every single one is absolutely triaged and looked at deeply from the engineering and product perspective, we don't want them to feel like they're not being heard. So that new update also coming early next week will be good. And the really fun thing is in a couple weeks going into beta is a new Field Force mobile app, which is going to be absolutely dialed in. I have it on my phone today, the beta version, and it looks very clean. So I cannot wait to share that with everyone. It's going to come out right after the book. So the book's going to come out June 1st, which by the way, when I get home, I'm going to see the proof copies for the hardcover and the softcover. So I'll show you those. But right now, before we get home, gotta stop at Fred Meyer and pick up some roses for Brianna.
folks. Very exciting day for Michael. Hold on.
This is so true. Fast delivery is my love language. Except they delayed this package. It is the proof of the book.
That looks so good.
So this is the soft cover. Oh, they made this the same size. That's pretty sick.
Awesome.
And then this is the hardcover. This is super cool.
I like the gloss finish.
See, what's crazy, folks, is it is color. Color. Look at this. This is what you call color.
So
this looks really good.
Sick. They crushed it. So this is basically the workshop that you gave at conference.
Look at that.
Put into a book.
That's in a book, folks. Beautifully done. Shout out to Zach for convincing me and Heather for designing it. Beautiful.
So your live stream, that's like in honor of the book launch.
It is the book launch.
The itinerary for the book, for the live stream, what does that have to do with the book? Like, are you incorporating things from the book into
Yeah,
live
I'll
stream?
show pieces of the book throughout. So what I gotta do now is go through my live stream notes and I'll pull up certain pages. So I'll be like, look at this page. See, this is where we do winter services. And I'll be like, it's time for story time with Mike. Hey, I could read this book to the kids, you know? I'm sure they'd love it.
Start them young.
Like, all right, we're gonna start with Lion King and we're gonna end with the Q4 collapse. See, kiddos, we've got a demand on the y-axis. We got the year from January to December on the x-axis, and we need to understand that they gotta have an inverse demand curve when you're adding an adjacent service, which is the Q3 to Q4 collapse. Very good. I'm gonna send a picture to the media team.
Okay, good deal. In other news, I redid the protein bars that we showed in the other vlog, and this time I used the right egg white protein powder, and it still turned out very cakey, but definitely not gelatinous, so improvement. Also, Michael got me flowers. I am not a florist by any means, so the arrangement is atrocious, but they're beautiful, and I can't wait for the tulips to open.
Brianna makes fun of me for always licking the plate. Let's just take a quick look here and see, based upon the protein bowls, which by the way, fantastic, which person is in more of a caloric deficit? That one's Brianna's, that one's Michael's.
It's good to the last drop.
That's
Every
right.
calorie counts, you know? If you log it, may as well use it. This looks way overexposed. If y'all have noticed how atrocious the lighting has been in the last, since forever, vlogs, I apologize. I'm still trying to figure these settings out. I think I need to take Intelligent Auto off, but whatever. If you guys have ever messed with the Sony where is it? ZVE10 before specifically, let me know. I welcome your tips. I'm actually gonna edit another reel from this morning's workout and post it, 1 or 2 reels hopefully. And I also feel like I left you guys hanging whenever I was explaining the turnaround planning process because I wasn't done explaining everything. Yesterday I spent a couple hours building out the itinerary, and now the next step is just basically taking notes for Mike about each person we're gonna go see. Zach from the media team, shout out, he calls all the applicants and like really gets their backstory, kind of gets to know what they're struggling through with their businesses, and right after the call he takes a voice note explaining everything about the call. So I listen to it, write notes down, talk about like their business struggles, whatever, etc. So then at a quick glance Mike can see it before going to see them, and it's like, okay, here's the game plan. From start to finish, the planning process is looking at the turnaround map I showed you guys yesterday, figuring out our trip route, booking everything, well, then contacting people first, then booking everything, and making sure we get all the documents we need, like their profit and loss statements, film release form, building the itinerary, putting their documents and notes down for Mike to see.
Alright, so we're just gonna go on a limb and say that Macys is in trouble. These are the only 2 people in this whole store. And they don't even pay well. Like, this guy ain't even got a wallet, he's underage. There's no one here. Like, look, as far as the eye can see, the only people you can see is employees.
Every single time we come to the mall, Mike's like, this place is gonna go bankrupt.
It is. I can't, like, how do you put this, the rent here, just this rent at this one store is easily $50,000 a month. Easily. Probably more.
Good morning, y'all. I am about to go to a coffee shop to get some work done because the past 2 days I've been doing it in the same spot on the couch. And we are on day 3 or 4 of it being rainy and gloomy in Washington. So I need to get out of the house. But first, we're gonna make Mike some frozen yogurt berry chocolate bites. You will need berries, which they were frozen, and then I microwaved them so I can mash them and get them all mashed. I always use a food scale because I like to measure everything down to the gram. They are mashed. Now we need another bowl and allulose. I need to order more, we're kind of running low. And we'll do like 170 grams. I definitely prefer to use allulose and oil on fruit. It's just a more natural sweetener. Allulose above everything though, because it doesn't spike your blood sugar like other sweeteners do. Above all, like I would rather use honey and or maple syrup because that's the most natural sweetener. But you know, that doesn't really fit into the nutrition plan right now. I have a stainless steel pan with parchment paper on top, and I'm just gonna do like small dollops of yogurt and spread it out so these are more thin. And on top of that, we're gonna put a thin layer of berries. Just like so. It looks like a crime scene right here because they were a little juicy and it spilled over. But now we're gonna make the chocolate. I wanna try to thin them out without using butter or too much oil for the calorie sake, but that was a goal. It's definitely not supposed to look like that. I added a little bit of water, so in hopes that, you know, it'd get runnier, but now it's more into like a very thick ganache. But we're gonna use it. We don't waste around here. Yeah, I don't, in all honesty, I should have just stuck with using butter, but I was trying to go the lower calorie route, and now I'm paying for it. So here's the crime scene. Very crumbly, but it could turn out good once it's frozen. I'm at the coffee shop doing some work, and I've been wanting to make the menu for Mike's live stream for the book launch. I think we briefly mentioned this before, but that's what I've been working on, and I'm gonna send it to him to see, you know, if he wanted us to make any changes. But I'll show you guys real quick. So we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then 3 options for each plus dessert. And then I will be posting this on his story and letting people vote on what they think he should have. Good morning, everybody. We are about to go on a 6-mile run to prepare for our next Spartan. That's in September.
Oh yeah, my birthday. It's on my birthday.
That's right. It's on Michael's birthday. So beautiful. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. So many trees. So many trees. So many trees. We'll check back with you whenever I'm out of breath midway.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. As promised, here's me out of breath. I think we're about 30 minutes in, and y'all, this trail is beautiful. It's a foggy morning, so check it out. Actually stunning. So if y'all ever come to this part of Washington, go on the Hertz Trail. It is, oh my goodness, and it's like perfect running weather too, because it's pretty chilly. This is our favorite way to spend Saturdays.